And a virtual doff of the cap to you 2022. My name's Adam Cook and we are here for episode 471 of the God is a Geek podcast. They said it couldn't be done. They said you can't record 12 plus hours of Game of the Year content and then not take a full month off. They were wrong, because I am here with Christopher Hyde. How are you, Christopher?
I'm good, mate. Here for the new year, here for 2022, which is going to be a good year for games, I think. So, looking forward to what's to come over the next 12 months of podcasts with you. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And depending on how long this podcast goes, maybe we'll talk a bit about 2022. But we're not here alone. I know we've done a few two-piece podcasts in the past, but we are not joined by Adam Carroll. We are not joined by Chris White. We are not joined by Mick Fraser. That's right, folks. It's Mr. Lyle Carr. Hello, Lyle. Welcome back.
Hello, I'm back again. What would the first podcast of the year be without me? Maybe better, but who knows?
How are you? Is everyone? It's one of those things. Like it's the old spinning up of work, I guess, isn't it? Like you have that break where the world stops for a bit and then we're back. And like the truth of the matter is, there's quite a lot of games we've been playing that we can't talk about yet.
Yep.
Some next week. It'll be a gradual release, a slow release over the sort of January period.
It's weird because there's quite a few big uns come in relatively quickly, but it was just that early in the year that it's like just a little bit too early. But yeah, there's going to be some good stuff to talk about over the next few weeks, I think.
Like it's definitely the time of year to be firing emails out to publishers and PR and be going like, you've seen the calendar, yeah? Just checking that you're aware, as am I, of the calendar. Because like it's getting silly, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about the future just yet, or the games we can't talk about, so to speak. So Lyle, why don't you kick us off, man? What have you been playing? I guess we talked a lot at Game of the Year, but let's talk about other stuff as well. And what have you been playing outside of that over the sort of festive? Now, what have you been playing? That's what I'm trying to say.
I've been playing quite a lot over the festive period because I like playing games even when it's not important to be playing those games. I carried on with Halo Infinite's campaign and got incredibly close to finishing it.
But you haven't quite finished it.
Not quite past the finish line yet, but yeah, just very much on the cusp. Pretty much have gone around the entire open world map and checked off every little tick that I can. And
man after my own heart there.
Yeah, I'm not normally a Chris Hyde about this, and usually I'll not really focus too hard on getting everything because it takes forever and it's usually not that rewarding. But when you can grappling hook around an open world map, it's kind of hard to resist just seeing, I could grapple hook up that mountain there and it might be something nice. I can get a new color maybe for the multiplayer if I want, or a new skill point for all the skills I don't use because I just use the grappling hook.
That's an interesting thing. I've noticed that more now it's out. Obviously last time we properly spoke about it was kind of in the middle of December and when I'd reviewed it, and that's one thing that I did find. It's a complaint, I suppose is the right term, but it's a minor one, is that all the other skills, they're not the grappling hook, are they?
They're not, no. And it's hard because it's not like I'm sort of playing Halo thinking, God, I wish I had more skills, because I don't care because I've got the grappling hook. But it's just a little bit of a waste of a system when you're getting when you're collecting skill points and all this sorts of stuff, because there's no point collecting them, is there? I got all the ones to upgrade my health and upgrade my grappling hook, and the other ones I spend just to maybe unlock an achievement every so often.
Yeah, I ended up, like you say, max the grapple hook out. I did max out I can't remember what they're called now, like the ping thing, where you can ping enemies.
Yeah, you do use them
the shield.
Sometimes.
The thruster booster thing, I don't know what that's for.
I don't think I've actually equipped it, to be honest. I used it in the multiplayer, but...
Yeah, no, I guess in the multiplayer when you haven't always got the grapple. But when you've always got the grapple, I found that the mobility I had with the fully upgraded grapple, I didn't need to, juke side to side as much. It never... Maybe on the harder difficulties it becomes a requirement to be able to switch around quickly on the D-pad, but I don't get that one. I think it is a game that it's box of tricks is shown kind of early in that respect.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have much to surprise you, when once you unlock all those skills, and you do them quite early. I think. I don't think it's just a case of oh God, what is that last skill? I actually wondered when I was reviewing it, like, because obviously we didn't know if there was going to like more appear down the bottom, like if more skills were going to appear. But it is a standby. What I said ages ago is that it's very Gears of War 5 in that they've tried to make it a bigger. I think it's actually a more successful open world than Gears 5. But what do you make? Like, you enjoyed sort of dicking around and getting, like checkboxing it, I guess.
I mean, I always want to be traveling around the open world. I suppose that's another complaint I guess I have, which is not really a complaint, is I didn't really use any of the vehicles, because why would I? Because I could grapple hook around.
So did you never grapple hook up to like I think a wraith that are flying? Did you never grapple hook to a wraith?
Yeah, I did. I've grappled onto things, but then I'll usually like kill whatever's in them and then jump out and then grapple again. And
Gotcha.
I wasn't particularly bothered about using, the other things, especially once you unlock for the grappling hook the whole like the shockwave that you do when you sort of punch the ground and everything explodes. It's just too tempting not to. But yeah, I mean, I did like collecting pretty much everything. I do think I got everything in the map, other than probably some of the skulls, just because they can be locked out and they're not really.
They're nasty in terms of the location. Like the first two that you can miss, the second one is absolutely like gruesome in terms of how difficult it is to get. That is nasty. Like
but everything that like is visible on the map has been checked off at this point, and I liked doing pretty much all of it. Like, I mean, some of them are just you climb up a cliff, and that's kind of fun in a just momentum. Movement is really good with the grappling hook, but then other things like when you've got sort of the squad of the guys who you need to rescue, for example, like I kind of like how they vary that, where sometimes they're like chained up and you sort of have to find a way to let them free, so they'll help you out with them, or sometimes they'll be in the middle of a fight, like even stuff like that, like just one of the specific like collectibles, I suppose, that you can find, like they're different from other ones of that type of collectible. And I think that's really, I just think it's really compelling. Like there wasn't a point where I ever wanted to stop collecting those things. Like I'd realize after a while that I've not done a mission for ages, and I thought, well, I'd better do a mission because they might unlock sort of easier ways to get further, which obviously they do. But that was pretty much, it was a sort of a forced thing. And I guess, I mean, it's not that the missions are bad, but they're not going around an open world and punching grunts really hard, are they?
No, I mean, did you? I was going to ask you, as someone else, you said you've nearly finished it. Obviously, we have the knowledge because stuff's in the news. Like the co-op is coming. Is there any? I know you're similar to me. You like playing co-op games. Is there any part of you that kind of just was not missing it, because you can't miss what's not there. It was never there, but. Like, I was wondering about this. I was thinking, when they add it, which they've said they will eventually, it might be too far away for me to go back, if that makes sense. Like, by that time, let's say it's April for just, for shits and giggles. I'm not going to have the time,
Not like, this year.
I don't know.
No,
I just sort of don't get why it's not there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a weird one, because I mean, it didn't feel like it was a game where I was like, oh, if this was co-op, it would be so much better. I didn't really think about it. It didn't click that this could or would be a co-op game, because when you're playing it, it just feels great as a single player experience. But I guess I still think I would. I mean, I'd be tempted to try out the co-op. I'd like to see how it goes. I don't know if I'll find time. I mean, maybe if I might be able to get my partner into the idea of playing it co-op, and if I can, then that sweetens the deal a lot.
Assuming they have split screen, we don't know yet, do we? Oh, do we? I don't know.
We've got 2 screens and 2 Xboxes.
Oh, okay. Well, then it'd be cool.
Yeah, but
so what else? Like, there's a game on this list. I'm going to pretend. Oh, what's what else have you been up to?
Oh well, I've been playing a little game called Inscryption, which is a card game, and definitely nothing more ever than that, and nothing mysterious ever happens.
Okay.
So
Just
So
classic
Inscryption
Lyle.
is a game by the creators of Pony Island. Did either of you play Pony Island?
Oh, okay. Well, now you've said that, all of a
Yeah,
sudden I'm like, okay, I get what you mean. I'm sure it's totally
yeah.
normal and nothing weird happens
It's
at all.
nothing weird ever happens. But I won't spoil anything weird that would happen, because if anyone wants to go and play Inscryption, I'd really recommend it. It's very good.
It can't be
I've
as
maybe-
batshit, surely. If it's a card game, it can't be. I mean, Pony Island
Oh.
is as out there as. I mean, I can't think of many games that are as out there as Pony Island.
It goes some places.
Okay.
It really does. But
Fair.
so from a base level, I'll sort of talk about, because as a card game, it is still a card game. There is a lot of fun mechanics to it, and it's a very playable, enjoyable game. And sort of the opening section of gameplay, if you will, to
Right.
not spoil what happens as you progress, is like, it's a card game where you're sat across from this guy who's kind of like almost like the game master, I guess, who you're playing a card game against. But it's sort of also like a sort of story as well. And you can't see him. He's just a pair of floating eyes in the void, and it's terrifying. And then you play a card game against him. Your cards start talking to you. The little animal creatures on your cards talk to you. Pretty, almost immediately. That's the thing that happens. So
It's pretty good.
yeah, and then within like the first sort of 20 minutes or so, you'll realize that if you press back on the keyboard, you stand up from the table and can walk around the room you're in, and the room's sort of like an escape room. So it's a card game / escape room where things that happen in the card game might help you do things in the escape room, or maybe the earliest example of something that happens that is it is the things blending together, is you'll maybe get told at some point that it could be helpful if you look at the manual in the room, because there's a manual of like how some of the card effects work, and as you flip through the manual, there's a code in the little bottom corner that's just might be for something in the room, and then there's more things to find out from there. So to progress in this card game, also the card game, after you do each sort of battle, it's kind of Hearthstone like, but with a few differences. There'll be branching paths, kind of like a Slay the Spire, of what you do next, and you do a bit of deck building and everything. So to progress past, yes.
What formats is this on? I've heard this sort of mentioned, but
Yeah, it's currently just on PC.
it is PC
So
only for now. Okay, I was wondering about that. Okay,
So
that's fine.
I think that's probably why it's probably mentioned more than it's been shouted
Yes.
from the rooftops, to be
Yes.
honest. But
I'm just looking at it now. Yeah, on Steam. It's not too expensive. £16.79.
yeah,
I
got
see
it
the
in
eyes. I just saw the eyes in the screenshot in the background. That's. It's got a good style. It's got a good look, hasn't it?
It really does. Yeah, it's very interesting, and I obviously won't reveal anything that happens further on, but you sort of everything changes more than I was expecting it to change, I guess, is how I would cryptically say that the whole game isn't just like it seems from the start.
Yeah, I've not seen much about this game.
Yeah, it
This looks
good.
far creepier than I thought it was going to. But I thought,
Yeah.
right, Magic the Gathering, let's go. And it just seems like I'm just like...
There's
Yeah,
a
this
demo
looks
of it,
really
by the
creepy.
way. I just spotted down Inscription demo on Steam, so there's a demo as well.
That could be worth doing.
Ooh.
It looks right up my alley. It's just when you said Pony Island, like I liked Pony Island. I don't think I finished it. I think I liked the concept more than the actual playing of it, if that makes sense. Like it got to a point where it's like, not that I've seen all of its tricks. I've got a funny fit. Doesn't that get like fiendishly difficult in terms of the puzzles as well?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I think for Pony Island, it never really felt like the gameplay was what the focus was. Like, obviously,
Yes.
it's sort of the twists and the creepy things and the just overall weirdness of the game. Whereas I think what's really good about Inscryption is that the gameplay is also really, really good because it's like a really well-made card game in all the forms you may play it. It's a hard game to talk about, though, because you don't want to ruin anything.
I was going to
and
say,
there's so
imagine
much
you
to ruin.
have to be really
Well,
cautious about spoiling stuff. So
There's also a question come through that, like, we don't normally do like listener correspondence this close, but Mikhail from our Discord says if you could pick one game to play from this month from your backlog, what would it be? And I'm sort of looking at this going, this looks really good. But I look at it, it came out apparently in October or November, so it was late last year. Well, not that late. I don't know how I missed it really because it looks so up my street. But yeah, I might have to take a recommendation from Lyle there and have a look at this somehow find some time.
I think I might. In fact, there's a demo.
The demo, yeah.
I might have to give the demo a whirl and then see. How I
is it
feel.
like? Is it really like it's proper grabbed you? Like, you know, it's.
Yeah, it grabbed me pretty quickly. To be honest, it was.
I mean, yeah, that art style's great.
Yeah,
and it's like presumably like cards and puzzle elements as well, right?
Yeah,
Feels like ticks so many boxes of stuff that I like that I don't normally haven't played for ages. So it's that's an interesting one, man.
Yeah,
cool.
I'd recommend it for certain.
You have another game I know that you've played, but we have also played, and we can join you in the conversation. So I guess it's probably the big game of the podcast this week is the Anacrusis, which is how best to describe it without sounding reductive. Who wants to have a go at not? I mean, I will say this much: I had a chat with Chet Falasek from the team and some of the other members of his team. They're not shy about the roots of this game. Like, they're not ashamed. I mean, Chet worked on Left 4 Dead, so if I say that, you can perhaps guess what kind of game it is. Can you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You should be able to, and it's hard not to be reductive because it is. I'll just say it. It is a very Left 4 Dead style co-op shooter.
But there's aliens, not zombies.
But there is aliens, not zombies, and that's very different. And I wasn't sure I'd like the fact that it was aliens and not zombies, and they won me over pretty quickly.
Well, I was trying to think, has anyone done this? Like, every time a game like this comes out, now Rainbow Six Extraction is coming to Game Pass this month, and that again is more aliens than zombies.
I was gonna say, I guess it's a little bit like Aliens Fireteam Elite in the sense that,
No, but do you think?
in sense of the enemies, I guess, like in not being zombies, because that's very much like aliens and then different types of aliens coming in and stuff. But I mean, I'm not saying it's exactly the same. I'm just saying, has anyone done aliens? Well, yes. But this is.
I think what gets me, I think the thing about this that actually, it's interesting that it's coming to sort of game preview and early access. And I think that is more, I mean, from what I've played of it, it seems to be, it's more a case of there's little things that, like, do you know at the end of the first major act where there's the jump pads that you can go up and down, and they're like, they're not very, the animation isn't smooth, it's almost like a teleport more than a jump, and I think things like that will get better in time. I think it's more a case of they want to get this out in the community, and they will release the other episodes as the game is developed, because honestly, like the game as it is right now, I think it's thoroughly enjoyable, and I think what really, really makes it stand out for me is the AI director. I don't know if I'm curious if you guys feel the same way, but the AI director, it feels as though it is learning about you, like you're doing quite well, and so it throws like multiple brutes at you, and if you survive, it will keep ramping things up. But if you then die, it eases things off. And like we Chris and I played a session where it was literally we died and we were mauled, and then the next time there were health items and turrets and all sorts. So it really was, in not so much randomizing, but like it was really, the director seemed.
I really like that concept, because I remember when we were playing Outriders, and there'll be certain parts in that game. Some parts you breeze through and you put your world tendency up or whatever it is, and you think, yeah, we're progressing, and then you get to a really hard bit and you'd have to try it a couple of times, and then you pause again and go, do you want to just make this a little bit easier to get through it? And then you book it back up. But this game just sort of takes it all away from you and just kind of learns from which bits you struggle and how much you struggle, to the point where you're not even noticing. And I quite like that, because then you can just play to enjoy what's on the screen, and you can push yourself, because if the way to keep it difficult is to keep not dying, that's it's not like it's it's not a cop out, because if you're genuinely struggling, then it's a great idea to say, well, we don't want you to keep struggling, and throw your pad or whatever. But it was very clear when we were struggling on certain bits, like Adam said, health and turrets and things came in. And similarly, when we got to a bit where we knew there was going to be, okay, we're going to press a button and then we're going to get absolutely inundated with them. We're like, well, we haven't died for a long time, so this prepare yourself, strap in, because this is going to get challenging. And it's interesting the amount of adrenaline that causes, if you know that it's almost your one chance to feel it in its purest form, I guess, because at this point you haven't died, and then you go, right, let's see if we can overcome this final push or whatever, or this horde bit without dying, because we know they're going to give us a bit of helping hand if we do. So it just kind of elevates it. But I thought it was really clever, because I didn't notice it, and you were pointing out, and I was like, it's really well done. It's not like in your face, by the way, you just failed, so now we're going to put more.
No, I think if I hadn't mentioned it,
I might not have noticed.
Yeah,
I might go, I thought we got
in a good
more.
way.
Yeah, I thought, but because other games would go, do you want to try turning the difficulty down? You seem to be struggling.
There is no difficulty option in this game. That's the thing.
No, there isn't.
No, it's organic, and I quite like that, because there is nothing more demeaning, I find, than going, okay, I do actually need to turn the difficulty down on this bit. I'm clearly, my reactions aren't once what they used to be. So I really like that aspect of it, actually, and I think it's really well executed. And it does mean that anybody can enjoy this game, because it's quite fast paced. I have to say, like, when you play like a Back for Blood or something like that, they're not slow, but they're also not as frantic as
headshots, though. You can get headshots.
This game is much more fast paced. You're constantly got to move around, get an angle, so you don't get overrun by all the horde, right? That's what you've got to do. So it's quite fast paced. So I really have enjoyed what I've played. I
found it interesting, because like when I played with Chet, Andy, and Jules from the team, they obviously know their game very well. And so at one point it threw 3 brutes at us at the same time. And even they seemed a bit surprised, like, Jesus, you don't normally get 3 of them. And it's like, well, I have played a little bit of it, and I know how to play video games. I will say I found it a bit more tricky on controller, because I think when I played it with the mouse, you've got so much reaction speed in terms of movement. I think maybe if I ramped up the turn speed a little bit on the controls. The thing we've really not mentioned about it is how it looks. Like the sort of 60s kind of.
It was, I mean, the menus. Originally, the menus gave, because it's a very similar color palette, I guess, to something like Deathloop, isn't it? The oranges and stuff, and that vibe of not the world of Deathloop, but that kind of the menu kind of color palette of Deathloop. I thought it was really cool, and it's weird because normally in these games they're very sort of like dark colors and browns and greys, and
they're themed
and blacks,
dark as well.
Yeah. But it's just come up on the screen. I do want to mention, actually, ironically, the exact opposite of in this game is the thing that messes with me the most, when you get those light enemies that just blind you.
They're so good, those enemies,
and you just can't see what's going on. They affect me more than any other enemy in this game, because it just sort of blinds you, and you can't see until you kill them. You can't then see really what's going on. It's like sun in your eyes. I think that's a really clever idea, because normally in other games you might get like sludge on your face or something, but it kind of, it's more reminiscent of something like Mario Kart, whereas this is very much like an effect in your eyes that blinds you. I just think it's got nice little clever ideas like that I think it's not revolutionary, but all added together, really, really good.
I think it's interesting you mentioned the color as well, because that was another thing I spotted, and I think it's interesting you've naturally mentioned this, because that's one thing they were saying, that they not that this game is like the remedy for the current situation of the world, but like they felt that there's kind of enough sort of dark brown misery and unhappiness at the moment. They wanted something to be a bit more jovial. And although, yeah, you're shooting aliens and try not to die, they wanted it to be a bit more, pleasing on the eye in that respect, and like more, and it definitely is that, like, they're quite jovial. I find that the survivors are quite jovial as they play, and like it's not a bleak, miserable, misery experience. I don't think it is anyway. I found it to be. It's just fast-paced action, like, really, you know?
It is.
Sorry, I feel like I'm chipping in loads here with stuff. Like, I really like just the basic. I can't think what it's called. The little sort of, you've got 3 of them, and you just sort of force fields the enemies away. The little pulse thing that you can do.
It is pulse, it's pulse.
Again, it just didn't need that in the game.
It's quite clever, because at first I'm like, "Where's my run button?"
Yeah.
Why am I pressing left shift and this weird thing's coming around? And like it is.
Yeah, I did the same.
There is no run. Because also they should mention there's is it what are they called, matter?
Yeah, the matter pod things that you
that kind of randomizes the game a bit, in that you find them. There's some of them are set locations, and then within each level there are areas that it will randomize and appear. And we saw that as well, Chris, didn't we? But when you get to them, you get to choose one of 3. I think, like games like Dead Cells have done this. It's not a new idea as such, but you get to pick one of 3 buffs, essentially. You can get a 4th one of those pulses, or you can, I think one of them like recharges it quicker. But again, it means that replayability is like, well, oh, excellent, we got the health goop this time. That if I throw goop grenades, you'll heal up. I didn't get that last time. That makes it a bit easier. It's got a lot of variety.
Yeah, and also
replay
what I liked, and we didn't realize till we played, is that we're choosing from 3 different ones. Like I'm choosing different ones from you. Like
yeah.
So you were like, oh, that'd be really good for you because you use that gun. I'm like, I'm not seeing that as an option. That would be really handy. So yeah, again, it's completely random. So again, the replayability, but it also means, like you say, you might get a perk that helps with the goo grenade, so you might pick them up more where you were previously picking up the incendiary grenades or whatever. So you might change your style of play, knowing what now perks you've got available to you. So, like I say, it's not a new thing, but it's an extra dynamic.
It just all works so well together, doesn't it?
Exactly that. That's exactly what it. Yeah.
My only concern for it is that, like, it's coming out. I mean, I suppose when else do you release it? But it's coming into early access, and early access tends to go one of 2 ways with the game. Either people, and I'm hoping Game Pass will give it that wider audience as well, because it's happened before. It happened with Outriders. It is coming out just before a kind of maelstrom of video games so Game Pass will help it. I think it stands up as it is. I mean, it's clear that they're going to add more to it. I find the game, it's. Like, Lyle, I know you didn't. I liked Back 4 Blood. I enjoy this more. I just think they're different beasts. I think they're going for different. It's like these days when you listen to an artist from a genre, but now that genre's got a sub-genre. Well, I think we're there now. I think you could look at the Anacrusis, Back 4 Blood, I think Aliens, Fireteam Elite, and Rainbow Six Extraction as 4 very different types. You'd almost want to say different sides of the same coin, but there's more than 4 sides here. They're all very different. The other thing is that Extraction has been announced as coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, that feels a little unfortunate for them.
I mean, they're both, I don't know. I feel like they've got that. We're Ubisoft. It's a big deal. Do you know what I mean? I see news posts about Rainbow Six Extraction coming to Game Pass, whereas you're not seeing the Anacrusis coming to Game Pass. And I think it's Ubisoft, But I don't know. I hope people give it a try, because it does seem like the team are like, they believe they're making a game they want to. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to say. But when you work for like a big publisher, sometimes it's like anything, if you work as a postman or something, you might like your job, but you're still a postman doing what you're told to do. Whereas when, like, they are making the game they chose to make. Like, I found it super interesting because Chet obviously is narrative usually, and has been for a lot of the Valve stuff back then. But this is the game he wanted to make, and his team wanted to make, and they started small and they're growing. So, like, I don't know. I hope I hope people try it. Like, it's on Game Pass. Give it a try.
Yeah, I really hope so too. I mean, I kind of think that what's really potentially going to help them in that alongside Game Pass is that it's a game that it's so quick to jump into, and you get to see what's great about it. You don't have to spend. I mean, I know I was the one who fought a bit against Back 4 Blood, for example, on the Game of the Year pods. And this doesn't have any of these any systems of like, oh, you might need to organize your deck of cards or set up how you're going to do things. It's just you jump in.
Yeah, Back 4 Blood is more of a considered preparation type.
I think
thing,
they wanted it to be
strategic.
RPG light. I think they wanted it to feel a bit
whereas
more
this is
RPG
just
like.
jump in, react, and have fun. Kind of.
Worth noting as well, it's cross-play. Like when it does that thing, Jackbox does is there's a room code, so you can just say, "Here's the room code," type in the room code or tap in the room code, and you just join the game that way. Like again, I think that's a smart. Like this is early access preview program, but from the get-go, they're like, we want this to be the way it works, and it's not an afterthought. It's not. Well, I mean, I know they have tested it within their community, but it's not feedback that's come back and someone's gone, "Oh, do this" 6 months later. Like it's like the release build, it's in there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what others think of it because I really enjoyed it so far. Let's do some listener correspondence, shall we? I mean, I was going to say that's a game I've been playing, but again, we've got a question that I can jump into it there. So. This one came in actually before this Game of the Year. And we didn't do as many podcasts in December because simply we were doing other talky things. But Richard Langridge said at the time of writing, so this is back in December, I turned 50 this week. Happy birthday, Richard, for December, sorry. So I'm looking back over 40 years of gaming. I started with a ZX81, similar, and it's amazing 1 kilobyte of RAM. Question for the pod. What was the most annoying thing in gaming that has either been fixed or still hasn't been resolved? For me, it was back in the early days when you couldn't save progress. If you were lucky, you had 3 lives and that was it. Or if you ran out of time, like your mum was calling you for dinner, then you had to restart from the very beginning. It meant you became an expert on early levels, but you could rarely complete a game. Thankfully, saving game progress was resolved. So yeah, what's the most annoying thing in gaming that either hasn't been fixed or has been fixed, I guess. What can you think of? I've got one straight away.
Yeah, I've got one too.
Oh, you go then, mate.
So, I mean, just listening to the question in full. I started with.
I butchered it, by the way, Richard. Sorry, that was.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit out of practice. I haven't talked to anyone for a couple of weeks.
Because I started gaming with the ZX Spectrum 128K, right? So,
of course,
still
you did,
Sinclair.
Chris.
Yeah, of course it did. The 128K, not the slumming it with the 48K. You know me. And
Butler had that, didn't he?
Yeah. The thing, the thing that obviously with that kind of era of gaming, it was very much like cassette in the tape deck, and you press play. You load the game up. You could wait for like 15 minutes for this thing to load, and you just got your fingers crossed that after waiting 15 minutes and you hear that little bit the little noise, you think, please don't crash. Like and that waiting, and especially if you were playing a game over and over again, you might knacker the cassette a bit. So it's just like, it's always that last moment where it could all go wrong and the game just wouldn't load and you have to start again for another 15 minutes of trying. Thankfully, that's not a thing anymore because it was very much like just a waiting game, and then fingers crossed at the end. So that's the one that came to my mind because it was always a heart and mouth moment. So yeah, not a thing now. Load times, well, they're even too short these days. I can't even kick a ball on FIFA without loading a game.
That was one of my two, is that they've now actually created a new problem.
Yes.
So in a game like FIFA, when you load into the game, it used to give you the arena and you could muck around and usually get a couple of shots away.
A couple of shots off, yeah.
But now on the new gen of consoles, it's loaded so quick you barely can. So they've kind
of
created.
Race against time to kick the ball now.
It is, yeah. Like you just literally leg it, and can I kick it? And if you do, you probably don't get it to the goal. So it's like they've actually created an issue there now where they've got no real need for a loading screen on PS5, but of course PS4 is not going to suddenly not get FIFA. Like, eventually EA will stop making an old gen version of FIFA, but it won't be for a while yet. So they've got to create a problem. The other one I would have, and this actually reminded me because it's a game I have been having a look at, is onboarding in video games. I think is still. I wouldn't say it's like massively annoying, but it can be annoying. onboarding and tutorializing. So when you play a game, and you guys will definitely have experienced this, that is a certain type of game, whether it's a shooter, third-person platformer, and you are given the most heavy-handed tutorial, like it stops you moving, comes up with a box saying, press A to jump. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, it's not been solved, because for us, that's like, oh, come on, and it's like a waste of 15 minutes at the start of a game that doesn't really do anything for the game to your eye, or give you anything in terms of like story. But you have to have it because someone somewhere will be playing a video game for the first time. That's the way the world works. But it's not been solved. And the other one that I think is an issue that should be solved, and I've seen solved in one game that I can think of, is, you know, when you stop playing a game for whatever reason, a big long game, you're 30 hours in, but something's come up, you've had to have a break from it for a week or two, you come back, you pick the controller up and you go, what the fuck is going on?
What was I doing?
What am I doing? So because of the Netflix series season 2 of The Witcher, I decided to chuck The Witcher on my PC and have a look at it, see how I could push my PC a bit. And I remembered that the Switch version has cross-save with PC. So on the Switch, you can upload your save to either GOG or Steam. Steam for me. So I uploaded it to Steve. I uploaded it to Steam, not Steve. Steve might work for Steam. And then I downloaded the save, and I started my game. And The Witcher has a thing whenever you load in, and maybe it's because they knew that the load screens were going to be so long, but it does come up with a little story recap that changes regularly. It regularly will say Geralt was doing this and then that and then that, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I played a bit, and then I downloaded my save to Switch to test it, carried on a bit more, went back to PC, and then when I come back to it a week later to play a bit more, it had changed. It told me, so it's like it solved that problem of you booting up a game going, I guess I just follow the waypoint then, do I?
Yeah.
That's one for me, definitely. Have you got any, Lyle, you can think of? I just nicked one.
No. That story recap thing, by the way, I think of Pokemon Fire Red had that, which was it was really weird that you just sort of, it was like in black and white, I think, and it just sort of gave you a few little story beats of like what you were doing just to catch you up. I know it's not really as
some games do it. I should say, I'm not saying no games do it, and The Witcher's the only one, but some do, but very few.
Games that kind of top line in like a journal or something that you can go back and refer to. That's a good way of doing that, isn't it? Where you go, okay, just summarize it for me.
Of the controls.
What's that? Well, the controls is more
like I started playing Horizon Zero Dawn because I'd never done the DLC. We've talked about this on the pod, and I booted it up and I platinumed that game. And I was like, well, I mean, the left trigger will pull the bow back and the right one will shoot it, but as for the rest of these buttons, I don't know. Oh, squares crouch. Okay, that's different. Yeah, I don't know. You almost did like a menu. You can go, remind me of this game, will you? You know. Sorry, Lyle. Carry on.
Yeah. I think the only one, mine is a fixed problem, but when I heard this immediately, the thing I thought of was early days of portable gaming and how lighting was very much an issue back then.
Oh, gosh.
Did you ever have the worm, the Game Boy worm light?
I didn't. I was just...
you had to basically point at the bit of the screen you most needed to see, and then you were like...
It was like, if there's not enough light or too much light,
wait, so
they're not playing on the Game Boy today.
So you're saying it's been solved?
I mean, when things are backlit, it's usually pretty good, more manageable. Maybe it's not been quite solved.
I don't know. I've had issues with the Switch
better on my
outside.
Switch now than the Game Boy.
But it's still, if it's like a really sunny day, like in the summer, and you want to sit in the garden and play Switch, you are like...
I'll just get in the shade a bit.
Yeah, that's
I know what you mean.
If I hold it like that, the sun's... Yeah, but,
but
that's a good one. That's a good one.
That is.
God, that game. You just reminded me now of like being a young kid, and I didn't have one, but my mate's Game Boy that had like the big. Do you remember the magnifying thing that went over it?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The big magnifying glass, an LED little light popped off the side of worm there. The camera on the bottom, and you're holding like this thing that's like a lunchbox. Oh, that thing was amazing though. Tetris. That's all I remember. Sorry, but yeah, that's a great one, Lyle. That's a great one. Well, let's stick with you, Lyle. Sure. Dane Lyle plays Shin Megami Tensei 5, or Mikhail, as I know him, says, if you could pick one game to play this month for your backlog, what would it be? I know I mentioned this one earlier, but what would it be if you could stop time and just go, I'm playing this?
Okay. I have a lot of answers for this, really, because I haven't
You can only have one. You can only have one.
Okay. Well, I haven't played God of War, and I should play that.
The other mine was going to get. I mean, it will get head shakes because we know about me. But blimey, laugh.
I've never played all the way through any of the Souls likes or any Souls game at all, so I could do something like that. But I think right now what I would. Oh no, I'm doubting myself. No, right now what I'd go for is I'd just stop time and I would actually finish Persona 5 because no one ever has.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Because I just couldn't I? I'd do the Royale as well. That'd be nice.
I think. Shit, yeah, you've cast mine into doubt now. Mine was going to be a bit of a sort of silly one, really, because I think after just sort of playing it for the reasons I mentioned, I kind of would love nothing more than to just have enough time to just plow through The Witcher 3 again.
Yeah.
That is some game. Like the atmosphere. That is such a good looking game, by the way. Still. Like the way whatever they did, because it's kind of Breath of the Wild in terms of lighting and color palette in places.
Especially in is it Blood and Wine expansion?
Yes,
that stuff. It's literally all like light and blues and greens, isn't it? So that's really nice.
I think probably Persona. I'd really like Persona 5. I'd love to finish it. And I don't even think at this point, if they released it on Switch, it would be enough.
It's too late now. We've failed.
Yeah, I think we have. I'll try and think of a better answer. Chris, have you got one?
I mean, I've got loads. How long have you got?
What's your one?
Yeah,
one game they're asking.
Okay.
He's really thinking.
He is. It's not good for the radio aspect of this.
No, it isn't. Right, okay. Come on. What's your game? I'd go back and actually play the BioShocks.
That's 3 games. You've got to pick one.
BioShock, then.
Okay, that's fine.
Fine.
That's fine.
I've no idea. I'm guessing that's the right answer. It's the one I should play.
I mean, it's a good answer.
I haven't played them. It's a backlog.
I didn't play all the way through BioShock, so I suppose I should join you, really.
In 2022, don't know the spoiler ending.
I think that's remarkable.
I know. I don't know how. Like, please, no one spoil it.
I'd say I would not look at chat for a little bit, just in case. I'll keep an eye on it. But we'll move on, because Mikhail has another question. Do you like 21:9 aspect ratio in games? I'm not a huge fan. Like, I guess I'm a traditionalist in that respect, because I just want I'm traditional, I suppose it'd be 4:3. I can't stand that now. Like, I can't stand that. Like, I was going to replay Psychonauts before the 2 came out, and I started on Xbox, but I could not cope with the 4:3. I was like, I need this to fill the fucking screen. And I think you can make it on. I think on PC it does. There's like a mod or even just an option. But 21:9 is like it's basically borders around the black borders. It's like it's cinematic, isn't it? It's Ghost of Tsushima, without like the cutscenes all the time through the game. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I like. Sorry, I don't. No, I do know.
You've lost me.
Yeah. I like fill the screen. So no. Yeah, like you say. Yeah, I wouldn't go 21:9. I wouldn't go widescreen. I mean, I'm not
against it if it's an artistic decision.
But if
I'm trying to think of a game that did it.
Yeah.
What was the game where when you held left trigger, it was Nier, wasn't it? Nier Replicant did that, didn't it? When you held left trigger to lock, didn't it bring in? Was that Nier? I'm sure.
There was something about Nier that did that. I'm trying to think what it was.
It did it during cutscenes, I think.
Yeah.
But there was a game, I'm sure, where when you held the trigger button down to like lock in or aim, it pulled the borders in underneath you, and I think it was a cinematic. It didn't work for me. But, yeah. Kind of traditional.
Big Punk said that BioShock Trilogy is one title, so
I saw what he said.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm still saying you can't. three separate tiles on the dashboard when you download that game. Kieran wants to know. Okay, he does. Yeah. Kieran wants to know, what's your favourite video game dog?
I'm sure we've had this or a similar type of question.
Well, I really am getting old because I can't remember my answer for it. I'm actually sitting there now thinking, like, I need these two to have a good long chat about video game dogs so I can think of a single one.
I'm literally going, all I can think of is dog meat at the moment, so I'm trying to think of something that's not that obvious.
Fallout dog meat. What about the dog from Call of Duty Ghost? Remember when they...
There's a great dog in the PS2 horror game Haunting Ground, which is sort of like the sort of successor to Clock Tower, called Huey, who's a white German Shepherd, and you just shout Huey and send him off, and he grabs you items. If there's an enemy after you, sometimes he'll like stop them, sometimes he won't listen. You kind of have to praise him and use treats and stuff. It's kind of a cool mechanic, and that's probably mine. But for something a little bit more well known, I'll just say Poochie, as in from like Yoshi's Island, where you just ride on him a bit.
Oh, that's a really good one. Damn it! I don't know why it sounds so. I've got one. Are you going to let it count? Animal Crossing,
sure.
Goldie.
Which one's Goldie?
The dog. That's
Well, yeah, I assumed that. Thanks.
like sort of brown. It's a brown dog.
Is it?
She's a golden retriever, I think.
You'd assume so.
Not KK.
Fine, I'll have KK Slider. Thanks, Chris. I've got an amiibo of him actually, so yeah. I do like KK. I must admit.
Sing surely should automatically win.
So what's yours then?
I said dog meat. I came in early with the obvious.
See, Deadbeat Punk in the chat has said one I was considering, Fable 2's dog. That's the one I was considering, but I couldn't remember if it was named. But that dog, I remember playing that game and being like, "You hurt that dog, I will kill you. I will kill everyone on this planet if you hurt that dog." I love that dog. Kieran said he thought Lyle could go Parappa because he's a dog.
Oh shit! It's
Chicory. Phil Tyndall says Chicory. I didn't like that game as much as other people. No, my answer is the dog from what was it? Nintendogs plus cats, just to be different. Remember that Nintendogs plus Nintendogs. What a game! What's the sequel? Nintendogs plus cats. I think it was good.
It's proper Nintendo, that isn't it?
You can't do anything with a cat; it just sits there.
I can't remember it if I'm honest with you. This question is a cat among the pigeons type one, but I don't. Days. I think it'll be all right.
Okay.
Nike G.
It's you I'm worried about. So...
Me?
Yeah. Carry on.
Nike G from Discord says, "How's the game of the year Hangover? Any regrets in terms of the picks? Why do you think? I'm more interested in why you think I would be upset.
I still think you're annoyed about biggest disappointment. So I was just gonna like.
The thing is, this turning into a thing now, right? Because the year before, it became a thing for like 6 months where people said I hated Death Stranding, and I didn't.
You still hate Death Stranding, mate. You do.
I just have issues with its story. The game itself, I played it. Like
Kojima.
And it's the same with Monster Hunter Rise. I don't dislike that game at all. Being disappointed. You never listen, Chris. When your kids get older, you'll know the term. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
I'm just disappointed. No, I know, and I know how much power that has. I use it at work when I really.
So do I, but it's private, and Lyle doesn't see it. No, but again, I don't think so. I actually think for the first year, excuse me, I was I was a bit surprised when because I think the lists from everyone hadn't all come in by the time we were doing the day 5. I think.
Yeah.
So when I saw the list, and I think Lyle, It Takes Two was like your number 2, wasn't it?
Mine was number 2, yeah.
And like everyone else, it was with a bullet. And I know Adam Carroll didn't have time to do a list this year.
Wasn't mine. It was my number 2 as well. But
yeah,
but
it was 1 or 2.
Everyone's 1 or 2. Absolutely.
Yeah.
On.
And I kind of think it's remarkable and quite cool that game that came out that long ago was like, no, with a bullet from then. And I said that in, I think, one of my pieces where it was like, I knew then, like it would have taken a new Mario or Zelda probably to oust it.
I remember me and you talking about it well before like the timing of the pod, and you were like, I'm really worried everyone's going to forget that game. I was like, I think you'll be fine, but I don't know what everyone's going to say, but I think you'll be fine. And then it's literally like, everyone's like, no, that's number 1. Like don't not even questioning it as a group.
It was so easy, that pick, wasn't it? Yeah.
So.
I mean, from an entertainment perspective, it was the same last year with the year before last, 2020, with The Last of Us Part 2, I think. And I only don't like that because you kind of end up not talking about the game because it is the greatest compliment I've had about this podcast over the years has been that it's like listening to a couple of mates in a pub. And that's what it is. It is just friends having a chat about games with a loose structure around it, I suppose. And because of that, I know you guys outside of work, if that makes sense. So while I wasn't certain, I was pretty sure that It Takes Two was going to be a big hitter. and it. And in a way, it was why I was glad there was so much discussion about the in best moment, because we had then kind of we'd shown our hand a little bit, I think, but like there's no way around that. You almost need to do best moment after the fact, but then it's like a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah.
No, I mean, personally speaking, I don't think I've got any regrets. I mean, Lyle, surely to God.
Yep. I have regrets. I'm full of regrets. So, my big regret. There was a great moment in the Game of the Year pods. The most surprising, everyone wasn't ready for it moment that got revoked. And I think Metroid Dread should have been number 11 on our list. We almost voted it off. And people got passionate. And even though the votes had come in, I just thought it was going to happen, and it's not that I didn't like Metroid Dread. It's in like my top 15. It's good. It's a really good
no
game.
Acting in that moment. I know, like obviously a podcast is part. You always have to be in the back of your mind. We have to be entertaining. But I watched that back, and I looked at Chris and my face, and Adam Carroll. I think it was a top line of us. Our faces. I was. It's the closest I've ever come to being speechless when I know I am. Like, I can't be speechless.
And I caused it, so you can imagine how I felt. I was like, that's not what I meant to happen.
That was great.
Oh, I hated you. And in that moment, you can see it in my eyes. There's like a glint
what have you done?
What have you done? Shit. Yeah, like, no, jokes aside, no, that was like, I watched that back and I'm like, watch the video of that. That's why I was saying to people, watch the video of day 5. If you don't have time to sit and watch a video, I know it's 3 hours isn't an awful lot of time. And it's like, come on, that's a lot to give up. But like, watch that because the reaction is pretty like it's totally genuine. Like there's three people there who are like almost laughing, and 3 people who are like, "What? I'm going to die."
To me, Metro Dread will always be our number 11, but that's fine.
Well, officially, I can confirm it's not. Phil Tyndall says it's actually the podcast is actually more akin to a couple of old deers at the post office. I'll take that.
Sure.
He had a question that he asked earlier at the start of 2022, which is where we kind of are. What games do you expect or wouldn't be surprised to be delayed beyond this year? So not a case of like delayed from February to April or February to August, actually delayed out of this year. He's named mine. He says, for example, Starfield or Breath of the Wild 2. I don't think Starfield will hit this year.
No.
But it is odd because they gave a release date ages ago. I just don't think Bethesda have put out big games and they've been full of bugs. I was thinking back to Fallout New Vegas on PS3 was horrific in that respect. You could just get stuck in the ground. Bayonetta 1 on PS3 was a trash fire when it first came out. I don't think now with Microsoft in charge, whether they admit that Microsoft are in charge, because I know they still Bethesda's still Bethesda. I don't think Starfield can be. It's an open world game. It's going to have bugs and glitches. That's just you'd have to test it. By the time you finish testing it to eradicate all of them, the game would look out of date. I think these days. I think it won't. It has to be. If it was the level was there where my microphone is, it has to be there now. And also because it is as well. Don't forget, it is currently anyway their first known dated first party exclusive. It's coming to PC, but it's not coming to PlayStation.
But I also wonder if, because of that means they will
have to put
want it to launch in 22. Because
but say that they showed with Halo that they don't give a shit. They delayed that game a year. When everyone was saying, you've just released a console, you have to put Halo out. They were like, no, we don't. We're going to give it a year.
That's fair.
Although I must admit, I think back now to the state what that game must have been in a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, look.
For me, it's Starfield. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not picking Starfield, the one that I don't want to be delayed, I've fought for us to talk about it. What do you expect
or wouldn't be surprised by? You're making up your own rule. What's the question? Come on.
Yeah.
Don't be a politician about this.
Wouldn't you be surprised to be delayed this year?
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if Breath of the Wild 2 was delayed, purely because we don't have a date, we just have a year, and we've heard nothing.
We don't have a name.
We don't have a name. Yeah, exactly. I don't want it to be. I'd be gutted. What a year it would be if it was released this year with all the other stuff that's coming. It would be insane.
But Nintendo now, see, I see what you're saying, but last year, Paper Mario, was that the year before?
There will be some surprise. No, that was 2 years ago. But Metroid Dread, there will be some surprises.
Yeah, Metroid Dread. So
there will be a thing that
doing a direct next week. and say, here's the name, it's coming the same date as Horizon Forbidden West is.
Twice.
Just double it up. But
yeah, they could. And
see, I think they're going to have an insane year. I think Nintendo's year is going to be remarkable. I think this is the year we see Odyssey 2.
I also think Prime Collection is coming this year.
If the rumours of that are true and that it's... See, the rumours that are that it's done, but the other rumour I've heard is that actually, no, the first game is done and they're going to release them individually, which I'd still be...
Yeah, that's fine.
God, I shouldn't say that. But I think Nintendo is going to have a hell of a year. I really do.
And it's interesting because without Dread last year, it would have been a bit of a soft year for them.
I mean, look at it this way, right? This month they've got a new Pokemon game, and they've got a new Pokemon game that is changing Pokemon. I know it's not their developed game, but it's a Switch-only game. A couple of months later, Triangle Strategy. So what's their February game? We don't know what that is yet. So it could be... It could. They could do it.
Oh, could you imagine if they did a direct
sure they won't,
and it's out today? I think the internet would explode. They won't, obviously.
But we know Kirby's coming. The Nintendo like to have one big game a month for Switch, in Switch era.
Yeah.
Splatoon
Bayonetta
as well.
3 for one of them.
Kirby.
Bayonetta 3, Mario and Rabbids 2.
If Bayonetta 3 doesn't come out this year, it's not coming out, is it?
Yeah. It kind of has to.
Yeah.
So what's your answer then? So is it Breath of the Wild?
It's Breath of the Wild 2. If you said to me without even seeing the examples here, my answer would have been Breath of the Wild 2.
Have they said 2022 though? Have they actually? Did they?
For
they
Breath
did.
of the Wild 2.
The end of the trailer, last trailer.
End of the trailer, 2022. Yeah. I can see it now. It coming in a
Where's Metroid
direct
Prime
saying
4?
we want to have time to finish it, and then it ended up being 23.
What about Prime 4?
Prime 4. So
maybe,
I think
maybe no Odyssey 2 this year then, because
I think what will happen this year is we'll
Jesus
get
Christ, imagine that.
Prime Collection or the start of Prime Collection, an update on Prime 4, but Prime 4 is not this year. That's
imagine
what I think.
Imagine if this year you got a new Pokemon, Triangle Strategy, Splatoon 3, Mario Odyssey 2, Breath of the Wild 2, and Metroid Prime 4, Bayo 3. I mean, imagine that.
Microsoft are pooing themselves, aren't they?
My bank balance is shitting itself, quite frankly. That is horrific. I mean, that is one a month just on Nintendo.
Yeah.
Lyle, what's your answer then? What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. So
whatever you've picked in the league.
Yeah, we've picked. So we have a fantasy gaming league where you review scores equate to points and all that sort of stuff in the God is a Geek Discord, which you should join as a Patreon member and all that sort of stuff. And there's been a bit of talk about what is and isn't coming out. And I think Starfield and Breath of the Wild 2 are two of the sort of bigger ones that I think have a good chance. It's hard to pick something else. There's been a bit of speculation there about God of War Ragnarok, just because we haven't really seen that much, but we've still got a whole year and it got rated.
I didn't know if you were going to have the kahunas to say that in front of Adam.
Steady on.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one that everyone wanted to counterpick to say it was not going to come out this year in the league was Hogwarts Legacy, but I don't know if is that even dated for this year, or is this? I don't really remember where it's been put in, but I didn't think that was coming this year necessarily either.
I don't know.
I can't remember if it actually definitely.
No. I mean, I could just pick an easy one like.
Well, Warner Brothers full stop are at the moment. They've got a lot of games that people know about and kind of feel like they should be 2022, but they haven't actually said that. Hogwarts, Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad. I mean, Star Wars. You know, the Lego Star Wars. That will be this year, but have they dated that again? Was that May? Was that last May? I don't know.
I have no idea.
But they've got a lot of games, is what I'm saying, where they haven't really actually said a lot. If that makes sense.
Yeah. But I mean, if I'm going to pick one that's sort of maybe an easier pick, we had Holiday 2022 for Sea of Stars, I think, in the last Nintendo Direct. And if it's going to be Holiday, you can at least maybe have a decent chance of that one being pushed back. So, sure.
Well,
that looks really good, though.
That's all the podcast questions we've had, right? But I've got one that's related to what Kieran has asked in the chat, where he says, "What about Twilight Princess or Wind Waker collection?" I want. It's 2020. Look, it's 2022. With the first podcast of the year, we got to make some predictions that we can be held accountable to. Okay.
Oh God.
And then,
Oh, blimey.
I
Okay.
want. Don't have to elaborate if you don't want to. It can be a simple yes or no. Okay. Do we see Twilight Princess Wind Waker collection this year?
No.
No. Yeah, I'm on. I'm on the
Well,
same
I was going to
team.
say no as well. So,
Oh God.
do we see Bayonetta?
Should we elaborate on why?
No, that's fine. Don't need to because
Okay.
otherwise we'll be here all night. But like, so when I say do we see, I'm asking will it be released, not will they announce it. So will they be released? Bayonetta 3.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I hope I'm wrong, but
Me too. What else is there? I'm just throwing.
I've just got a horrible feeling about that game just because we've heard nothing, and I don't know if it's going to get canned. I don't know.
It's time to nail your colours to the mask. Yes or no answer to be held accountable for come the time the year ends. Breath of the Wild 2, whatever they call it, is it coming out in 2022?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's boring because yes, I was going to. We all just not agree. What else is there? Let me have a look because we've got a handy. This is a little bit of a plug for you on godisageek.com. If you just load the web page as it is, there is a 2022 release dates there, and there are a lot of games down the very bottom of that page which are coming this year but not dated. Okay, so let's just go to a few of these before we get out of here for a week, and let's get these yes or no answers. PlayStation VR 2. They've just announced a load of details on it. This year or not?
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
I think so too. Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think so? Okay.
I think so.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. One more then. This is the biggie. Yes or no? Will God of War Ragnarok make 2022?
I do
Yes.
think it will, but I think it's like I'm like 60-40 on this one.
See, this is one I will elaborate on. I think it will, but I think if they need to delay it, they will delay it because Sony have. When you look at it, Horizon, PSVR 2 presumably, Gran Turismo,
GT7. Yeah.
they've already got a substantial. I mean, they're not exclusives, but they are exclusive to PlayStation. They've already got a few big uns.
Yeah.
So I think if they need to delay it, they can.
For me, it's like I whether I should or shouldn't. I equate Horizon and God of War to like the Mario and Zelda of Nintendo. They
Yes.
don't need to have both in the same year. I mean, they did when we had Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, but they don't need them.
God of
so
War
I
will
think-
be next financial year, so it will be out by. I will say it will be out by March 2023.
March next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, if one's getting delayed, it's going to be God of War, and it wouldn't be a disaster if one was in one year and one was in the other. It'd be amazing if they're both this year.
It's just Sony again. When you actually really look at the release dates, as I've had to for the job kind of thing, is they have got one in January, Uncharted Collection. February is Horizon. March is GT. I reckon they'll have one in April. I don't know what it is. I think April, unless I'm forgetting one, I think April will have a big E as well. And then they tend to ease off. They always have one during E3 month. There's always a game that sort of gets, I don't know, sold out. You think about what they've announced. I mean, we won't see the Wolverine game this year. Spider-Man 2, I wouldn't think Spider-Man 2.
They've said that's 23, haven't they? The
Oh,
Spider-Man.
there you go then.
I
As I
think
say,
so,
I
yeah.
wouldn't think. They've got a. Do you know what I'm genuinely the most interested in is that Microsoft had like an amazing end of 2021.
6 in 6, and then just we don't know
And,
anything.
like, what's coming now? Stalker's coming to Xbox, but we don't have Starfield's November. Redfall is supposedly summertime, isn't it? I think, but they haven't really.
summer.
I mean, I saw a story today that said that Fable will be out before The Elder Scrolls 6, but that doesn't mean anything.
It just means it's
I mean,
Both in 2025, yeah.
There's a lot of studios under Bethesda. Doom, Wolfenstein, Prey. There's a lot.
They've got that Perfect Dark game from their own studio.
So
haven't
that
they?
must be a while off.
Yeah, I think that's a while
definitely.
off. But imagine if it's not that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2 could be this year
Hellblade
for them,
is you would like to think so.
surely.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
we won't know. I guess the only way to find out is to just keep looking at websites like godisageek.com. And if you enjoy what you've seen today, give us a thumbs up, give us a little comment, tell us what your Tell us your thoughts about what will and won't be delayed. Do go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, where you can support us for £1 a month and get access to our Discord, where some of the lovely people that have been chatting with us throughout this all hang out, and the league stuff that Lyle mentioned, all that stuff. Before we go, I've just seen one last final comment. Phil Tyndall says, yes or no, Switch Pro?
No. Surely not.
No. We might get details of what the
we could find out
Switch 2 or
about
Switch
it.
Pro this year, but we won't get one. We had the OLED last year. We won't get another one this year.
Yes.
Oh, good.
You've got to
spicy.
just liven it up a bit. Whether I believe it or not, I don't know. I can claim I didn't if it doesn't come out, and if it does, I'm easy. Thank you very, very much for watching our first podcast of the year. If you don't know, you get to see this live, and then it goes unlisted and goes away until Monday, so that it's like the audio version with everything going up then. But otherwise, if you're a Patreon, again, you get this early. You don't just have to be alive. You can just watch it on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, or I don't know, the rest of the days of the week. Lyle, Chris, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your time.
No
Thank
problem.
you. It's been great.
And to everybody else, we'll speak to you next week. We're back. It's January. We'll be here. We've got loads to talk about in the coming weeks, and we'll see you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.